So do you know that what you think and what you say actually shapes your life? I mean, if you really think about it, it's very profound. Talk about major power. I want you to take a moment and read this statement and internalize it. How do you feel about it? What do you think? Do you agree or do you disagree? I agree 100%, and my goal for today is to ensure that you agree also. Oftentimes as people, we give up our power too easily. We accept what is as if it's what has to be. But I've come to learn that what has to be, or what is going to be, is totally up to each individual. And our mindset and our words determine exactly what that is. Okay. So if you focus on what you want to occur in your life, then you will manifest your thoughts. And this could be both good and bad. So you have to take the time to actually picture your life. What do you really want? You have to be clear about what you want. You can give yourself positivity. You can give yourself negativity. You can give yourself gain. You can give yourself lack. It's all up to what you think in your mind. I have 2 stories for you about how my thoughts and desires shape my life in a positive way. I graduated from Rutgers University in Newark, New Jersey in 2003 with a bachelor's degree in computer science. As a teenager, I knew I was going to college. My parents always instilled the importance of higher education, and I've always been book smart, so this wasn't a big deal. But to add complexity to that, I was a teenage parent by the time I graduated high school. Well, a few weeks after graduating high school, I became a teenage parent, so that added a lot of complexity to getting my bachelor's degree. Little after 18, I actually moved out of my parents' house, so now I am a college student. I'm a mother. I live on my own, and of course, if you live on your own, you have to pay for it, right? So I had to have a full-time job. So I'm doing all of this while going to college and being a young adult, right? So I need to... Thank you. And I'm doing all of this while being a young adult. So then I had to figure out how to have a social life as well. So talk about a heavy, full load, right? But there was never a thought in my head that I wouldn't do it, or not many. When there came a thought, I quieted those thoughts and kept pushing because this is what I wanted, and I knew that this is what I was going to do. Fast forward, like I said, 4 years later, I graduated with my degree in computer science, and surprisingly, it usually takes people 5 years, but somehow, with my huge load, I managed to do it in 4 years. So very proud of that moment. So like I said, when you want something, you go for it. It doesn't matter what comes your way. If you want it, you figure out a way to get it. Fast forward to about 26 years old, I decided I wanted to become a homeowner. So I went out to see about that, found out that my credit score wasn't the best for the loan that I needed to get to become a homeowner. So I took a year off and I actually paid down some debt and raised my credit score 100 points to then qualify for the loan that I needed to get the house that I wanted to get. I went out looking for some homes and found the home that I wanted. So again, I guess with my life, I like to add complexity. I didn't have any money for a down payment. I didn't have any money for closing. In my bank account was basically money to live pretty much check to check, paying the bills that I needed to pay. But what I did have was the drive needed to do what I needed to do. So I signed up for first-time homebuyers programs. I did what I had to do. I borrowed money. I needed $1,000 to put down on my contract. I borrowed that $1,000, or no, I was gifted that $1,000 by my grandmother. And I borrowed the money I needed for my appraisal, for my inspection. And at 28 years old, I became a homeowner with no money down, no money for closing costs, only the money to pay my bills in my bank account. So again, like I said, if you have a desire for something, you do what you have to do to achieve that. So you just have to know what you want and figure out ways to get what you want. Okay, so if you speak what you want to occur in your your life, then your words will manifest. And again, that can be good or bad, depending on what you're speaking over your life. In my research, I found a few quotes that I thought were very powerful that I wanted to share with you. It says, "Words are free. It's how you use them that will cost you. A sharp tongue can cut your own throat." Both of these authors are unknown. Last quote, "Words are containers for power. You choose the power they carry." And that's by Joyce Myers. So I have two stories to share here, and I can't say they're as positive as my mentality stories, but they're my stories and they help to shape my life nonetheless. As a student in the 8th grade, and I'm not sure, I'm from the States, so that's about, I was 12 years old when I entered the 8th grade, but I'm a little behind as far as age. So people are usually maybe 13, 14 in this grade range. So when I entered the 8th grade, I was bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and very naive. And I was in an inner-city school. A lot of the girls in the class were older than me and a lot more experienced in life than I was. I recall a conversation that we had about sex. And surprisingly, I think I might have been 12, I don't know how old, maybe they were between 14, 15, maybe some 13, I'm not sure. I was the only person in the conversation that was still a virgin. So for whatever reason, don't ask me, I don't really know why, I decided to say that, well, by the time I graduate 8th grade, I don't want to be a virgin anymore. I want my virginity gone by then. And lo and behold, a few days, like not even a week before graduating 8th grade, I had transferred to a totally different school, wasn't even around these same people, but I ended up losing my virginity. And I can't say that it was the guy who was pushing me. I think I might have been the aggressor in this situation. Like, it was totally weird. And I found out years later that we both lost our virginities to each other. So it was like, that adds even more complexity to it. So I say this to say that use your words with caution, because what you say can become true in your life. Another story, fast forward to high school. I graduated high school in 1999. So I don't remember when I actually said this, but I'm not sure if this happened here, but I know in the States around, in 2000, they had a rumor that the world was gonna come to an end, right? So yes, Y2K, something about the computer systems not being able to link up and everything was gonna be over, right? So again, naive Nicole made a life-altering statement. I said, well, if the world is going to end in 2000, I want to become a parent before the world ends because I want to know what it feels like to be a parent. And just to give you a little bit of background, I had been a babysitter for many years, so in my limited knowledge, being a parent wasn't that hard from, only babysitting for a few hours, right? So being a parent wasn't that hard because I was a babysitter. So I'm not sure the time lapse between me making that statement, but I can tell you that on July 9th, 1999, I gave birth to a beautiful little girl. And yes, so before 2000, I had a child and I actually spoke that. So when I actually realized years later all of these things that I had spoken, I was astonished at how I had literally spoke my life, but I didn't take much time to think about what I really wanted or how the words that I said would impact me. So just think about how powerful that is if you thought about uplifting and empowering things in your life, how those things would actually materialize and come to life for you. So I say this to say that our words are indeed weapons, and they can either build us up or they can slow us down. It's all up to you. All right, so do you want to know how to optimize your power? Yeah. First, you have to broaden your perspective, right? You don't know what you don't know, so you have to get out there. You have to network with people. You have to attend classes, go to school, join Facebook groups. They have all kind of, do some research, read books. It's all kind of ways to learn what you don't know. Thinking back in hindsight, had I did some research on how hard it is to actually be a parent, I may not have become a teen parent, but I didn't. So, you do the research that you need to give you the ideas or to solidify whether or not your ideas are actually something that is good or not so good for your life. You need to monitor your circle of influence. If you recall, when I lost my virginity, a lot of the people I hung around with weren't virgins. So you have to be around like-minded people. They say that you are the sum of the 5 people that you hang around or that you're the closest associated to. So do an assessment. Are the 5 people that you're most closely associated to, are they doing well in their life? What are they doing? What are you doing? That's how you can tell. You have to think positive. We are in a world of endless possibilities. We need our thoughts to be uplifting and empowering so that we can be uplifted and empowered. And then you have to speak life. There's a saying that says your word is your bond. So I looked up the word bond, and it said that a bond was a vow, an oath, a promise, and an assurance. So does that mean that your words are a vow, an oath, a promise, and an assurance? If it is, then you should take those words very, very cautiously and use them very wisely. Okay, so our thoughts and our words are our power. So in the 1990s, a doctor, Dr. Masaru Emoto, did a series of experiments on water. And what he did was he put water in different environments, some in very nurturing and loving environments, some in very negative and hateful environments. And then he froze the water to analyze the molecular structure of the water based on the different environments that the water was placed in. And the results were astounding. And based on this, I believe it to be a fact that our thoughts and our words have a direct effect on water. It's also a scientific fact that our body is over 60% water. So if our body is over 60% water and words have a direct effect on water, then that shows that words have a direct effect on our being. So we have to be very cautious of those words. There's various different experiments. Well, Dr. Emoto's experiment is the water experiment, and then based on Dr. Emoto's experiment, several people across the world have done rice experiments based on his experiment, and the results of the rice experiment are also astounding to see, just by the words and the thoughts, what happens to water and what happens to rice. So here's the water experiment example, and this is a picture of the water that was like same water, right? That was frozen. This particular water was given thoughts of thankfulness, words of thankfulness. And this is the picture that's the result of the water that was given thankful vibes and thankful words. This second picture was given loving thoughts. So loving words, loving vibes, and this is the picture that resulted when that's the result of this water being frozen. Contrarily, this particular picture is water that was told foolishness. You'll never be anything. You're useless, you're worthless, you're nothing. And this water was frozen, and this is what is the result of that particular water. And lastly, this water was given vibes of hate. I hate you. Die already. And this is the picture of that particular water. So for me, the proof is in the picture. What do you think? Okay, so forward on to the rice experiments. Again, a direct correlation to Dr. Emoto's experiment, and several people all over the world did these experiments different amounts of times, but pretty much the same results for each experiment. So rice, all cooked together, same rice, 20 minutes, same water, normal process. The rice was separated into 3 containers. One container labeled love, The middle container labeled nothing. The last container labeled hate. The love container, over a series of 30 days, was told loving thoughts, you're awesome, I love you, you're great. The nothing container was ignored for 30 days. The hate container, I hate you, die already, you'll never be anything. So as you can see, the container labeled love actually looks edible. It looks like nothing is wrong with this rice. The container labeled nothing, starting to decay. You can see the yellow in the container. And then the container labeled hate, you can see has already decayed and it's looking pretty gross. So if this is what happens to rice and to water, just based on words and thoughts, imagine what happens to people based on words and thoughts. And how can we as a people change that to make sure that all of our results are the loving and the thankful and the compassionate results that we should be aspiring to have? Okay, I have a video for you here, and this video basically is a sum of what I've been talking about. In case you're tired of hearing me speak, I'll let someone else just give you a little bit of information on why your words become your reality.
Many of you, as I have been, as I am, are where you are in your life based upon what you believe. And it's not just what you think you believe on the surface, it's also your shadow beliefs that are holding you back from moving into the life that you believe you deserve. What I know is if you're not looking at the shadows, if you're not looking at what is subconsciously running through the tape in your mind, telling yourself you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you're not smart enough, you're not enough, which is a tape that's playing for a lot of people. If you're not conscious of that, then you end up acting out of that belief system and not out of what you know to be the truest or want to be the truest for yourself.
You are where you are today in part because of what you've been saying about yourself. Words are like seeds. When you speak something out, you give life to what you're saying. If you continue to say it, eventually that can become a reality. You are planting seeds when you talk. At some point, you're going to eat that fruit. My challenge is make sure you're planting the right kind of seeds. If you want apples, you have to sow apple seeds. If you want oranges, you can't plant cactus seeds, poison ivy seeds, mushroom seeds. You're going to reap fruit from the exact seeds that you've been sowing. In other words, you can't talk negative and expect to live a positive life. You can't talk defeat and expect to have victory. You can't talk lack, not enough, can't afford it, never get ahead, and expect to have abundance. If you have a poor mouth, you're going to have a poor life. And this is great when we're saying things like, I'm blessed, I'm strong, I will accomplish my dreams, I'm coming out of debt. That's not just being positive, you are prophesying victory, prophesying success, prophesying new levels. Your life will move in the direction of your words. But too many people go around prophesying just the opposite. I never get any good breaks. I'll never get back in shape. Business is slow. I'll probably get laid off. Flu season is here. I always get it. They don't realize they are prophesying defeat. It's just like they're calling in bad breaks, mediocrity, lack.
You don't become what you want because so much of wanting is about living in the space of what you don't have. That's why Jim Carrey's story is so powerful, because he started to act as though he already had it. He would go up to Mulholland Drive, he would drive away thinking, I already have those things, I just haven't accessed them as yet. I believe those things are going to come to me and I'm going to act like they are, so I'm going to move forward in my life in order to draw that to myself in such a way that my actions are in alignment with what I say I believe. So if you start to think about that, really, why are you where you are in your life? The choices that you have made have been because of what you believe to be true for yourself.
The time is now. The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.
You can talk yourself out of your destiny. Negative words can keep you from becoming who you were created to be. Don't fall into that trap. Quit calling in defeat. Quit talking about how it's not going to happen. You should write down your goals. Write down what you want to see happen in life. Any areas that you're struggling in, where you need to improve, write it down like it's already done. And then every day, declare that decree. Read over it a couple of times out loud. It's not enough to just think it. Something happens when we speak. You have to prophesy your future. Those words will get down on the inside of you. They'll not only change your outlook, but they will change who you are. Your words will become your reality.
Yes, with this video, a lot of things spoke out to me. Like the ocean, like I said, our possibilities are as endless as the ocean that we saw in the video. The different trees and the flowers, like I look at us individuals as flowers, as trees, right? And how deep our roots go and how tall we bloom and blossom is totally up to us and what we think and what we say. Like we totally have the power to create the lives of our dreams if we are courageous enough to do so. Okay, so do you want to know how to seize your power? All right, let's talk about it. You have to envision it, right? You can't, how can you go after what you can't even imagine, right? You have to think about what you want. We are all blank canvases. The picture that's drawn for our life is what we determine. We have the power to determine what we can imagine and what we can foresee. So you have to actually envision what you want. Then write it down, make it real. This is so important, and I actually can attest to this. I write down a lot of things, different notebooks over time. Years ago, I wrote I wanted to be a business owner and I wanted to be a homeowner. And I think I actually forgot I wrote it. I don't even remember when I wrote it, but I know that I ended up finding the paper, and when I found it, I was a business owner and I was a homeowner. So that's just one small example of how writing down what you desire can actually materialize or helps it to materialize in your life. So write those things down. It's very important to write those things down. Then you have to talk about it, speak about it, say it out loud. I say this one with caution only because you have to be careful who you talk to, right? Unless you are strong enough to know how to block out the negativity, because you can get negativity. So you have to be careful who you talk to. And if you don't know who to talk to yourself. Get in front of that mirror and tell yourself what you dream and what you desire. Because once you speak it, your voice carries vibrations out into the world, and it brings back what you put out. And then you have to act upon it, right? Nothing happens without action, so get out there and go do what you were created to do. And my wish for each individual is for you to be empowered. Use your mentality and your words to empower your life and empower the lives of those around you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. Nicole Walker.